Let's get started by making a folder. There's a couple ways to make a folder. The first way is to select Add Materials and then select Add Folder. Once we add a folder, we have a couple of options that we need to decide for. Let's give it a name. We can color it if we'd like to. The description box, where you're most likely going to be describing the content of the folder. We also have a toolbar, just like in Google Docs, where we can bold, italicize, underline, and format in lots of other different ways the text that we have here for our description. Also available is the degree to which we want to publish this to our students. So for example, if I'm making this folder and I want my students to view it immediately, I'm going to keep it to the defaulted published. What this means is it's going to publish it immediately to Schoology, and it's going to become immediately available for all students to access. There are a couple other options if I don't want to do that, though. I can select Unpublished if I don't want it to be viewable to my students quite yet. What this will do is it'll save it in draft form into my Schoology workspace, but students will not be able to see it. This might be beneficial if I'm working on a folder that's not going to be assigned, or I don't want to have the students have access until a couple weeks or maybe a week down the road. There's also a couple other options. I can publish on a start date, or I can publish within a date range. So it can be published on this date and then unpublished on this date. For now, I'm going to select it with published because I want my students to see it immediately. I'm going to click create, and there's my sample folder. The other way we can make a folder is by clicking this green dotted line here. Wherever I click this green dotted line is where my content will be created. So if I want to make a folder in between these two folders, just go there, click folder, folder number 2, give it a color, any text that I want to type in, what my availability is going to be, and then click create. And it creates the folder at the spot where I asked. I can also move things around. And this goes with any content, not just folders. So if I click and hold, I can drag content around, either up, down, in front. And then also I can drag it inside. So if I have it, the box here where it's lined up immediately, it's going to be right there. If I want to drag it below, it looks like that. And if I want to drag it inside, I kind of put it in here, and you'll notice that the gray box becomes a little smaller. And that's going to indicate that it's going to drop it inside this folder here. And if I want to take it out, I can simply take it out as well. One of the options I do want to make mention of, and we will come across this several times, is the view course as a student. So anytime you set up your courses, you set up your folders in your organization, you want to know how this is going to look like to my students, we're simply going to click course options and then view course as. And then now we can view this course as the student that we select. You'll notice you have a menu up here that reminds you that you're viewing as a student. So this is what it looks like for this student here. I'm going to now go back to my course where I'm in my teacher view. And that's how you create folders, use naming conventions, and drag and drop folders and content.